The grand chandelier trembled above the ballroom as the last echoes of laughter faded. Outside, the winter wind whispered secrets through the towering pines surrounding the old estate in Vermont. Inside, the atmosphere was polished perfection. Crystal glasses clinked. Soft classical music floated from the corner where a grand piano stood. Yet, amid the elegance and wealth, one melody was about to unravel everything the guests thought they knew about love, loss, and second chances. Michael, a single father with a weary heart, approached the piano cautiously. His fingers hovered above the ivory keys, hesitating for a moment. Every nerve in his body screamed that he didn't belong here, that the polished walls and fine suits weren't meant for someone like him. His life had been a quiet struggle, raising his 6-year-old daughter, Grace, alone after the sudden loss of his wife, working odd jobs, and sacrificing dreams he had once held close. But tonight, he had been invited as a favor to an old friend, and the music inside him refused to stay locked. Before he pressed a single key, he looked at Grace, who sat on a velvet chair clutching her small coat, her wide eyes filled with awe. She had inherited her mother's soft features and her father's stubborn determination. Michael inhaled slowly, letting the memories of his past wash over him, and then his fingers found their place on the keys. What came next was not a song he had written. It was a song that belonged to someone else, someone from a life long before the pain and solitude had taken hold of his heart. Across the room, standing near the grand staircase in a tailored black suit, was Victoria, CEO of a rising tech company, known for her icy poise and unshakable control. Her eyes scanned the crowd absent-mindedly until the notes hit her like a jolt of lightning. The melody was haunting, tender, achingly familiar. She froze, her champagne flute trembling in her hand. Every corner of her mind screamed recognition, but she refused to believe it. The music was unmistakable. The very song she had once thought lost forever. The melody her first love had written for her in the small, sunlit room of a Pennsylvania church when they were teenagers. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, in the magic of fate, pause for a moment. Like this video, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story is one that proves love has a way of finding us when we least expect it. The piano melody wound through the ballroom like a living memory. Michael played with a depth of feeling that only loss and love could teach. He had never intended for anyone to recognize it. He had stumbled upon the sheet music in an old attic trunk while sorting through his late mother-in-law's belongings, the paper yellowed and fragile. Something about it called to him, something he couldn't explain, something that demanded to be shared, if only for Grace's sake. Victoria's heart pounded as she edged closer, her mind racing. She remembered James, the boy who had given her that melody on a paper napkin at church, shyly promising it would always be hers. She remembered the first kiss, the stolen glances behind the organ, the way life had cruelly pulled them apart when his family moved to another state. She had buried that memory deep inside herself, convinced it would never return, and yet here it was, alive, echoing through a crowded room in a stranger's hands. Michael's eyes stayed on the keys, but he sensed her presence. Something in the energy shifted. He had seen many people move through wealth and power with an air of untouchable authority, but there was something fragile, almost haunted in the way she now looked at the piano, at him. He didn't know who she was, yet he played with every ounce of honesty he had, pouring into the music the weight of a man who had loved and lost. The quiet devotion of a father determined to give his daughter a world of beauty, even if his own dreams had been left behind. The room held its collective breath as the final notes lingered, trembling like a heartbeat. Victoria could hardly move. Tears threatened to spill over, unbidden, as memories collided with reality. She stepped closer, ignoring the curious eyes of the other guests, drawn toward the man whose hands had conjured the past so vividly, so achingly. When the music faded completely, there was silence, an awkward, expectant pause. Michael looked up and met Victoria's gaze for the first time. Recognition flared in both their eyes like a spark against winter frost. The world seemed to shrink until it was just the two of them, caught in the impossibility of time, love, and fate colliding in a single, fragile moment. Victoria took a hesitant step forward, her voice barely above a whisper, though Michael could hear it clearly. "Where did you learn this song?" Michael swallowed hard, the vulnerability of the moment making his chest tight. I found it years ago. Someone gave it to me long ago, and I just wanted to play it for my daughter tonight. His eyes softened as they drifted to Grace, who had risen and now peeked over the edge of her chair, sensing the gravity in the room. Victoria's knees felt weak. She reached out, almost afraid to touch the reality before her. James, it's you. The sound of her words shattered and rebuilt the space around them. Michael, James in her memory, the boy who had once dared to dream of a lifetime with her, felt the full weight of years collapse into a single miraculous instant. He nodded slowly, his own heart swelling with a mixture of fear and hope. The world had changed them, aged them, tested their resilience, yet somehow it had led them back to each other, guided by the fragile notes of a melody that had refused to die. As the evening wore on, the two of them spoke in hushed tones, catching up on the lives that had taken them far from that small church and the dreams they had once shared. Michael told her about Grace, about the nights he had stayed, awake praying for strength, about the quiet victories and heartbreaking losses that shaped every day. Victoria shared her struggles, the walls she had built around herself in the corporate world, and the loneliness that often accompanied her success. And somewhere between shared laughter and tears, they both realized that love, true, enduring love, could indeed survive the cruelest of separations. The piano sat silent now, but the echo of the melody remained, a reminder that the past never truly leaves us. It waits, patiently, for the moment when we are ready to face it again, when hearts are open and wounds have begun to heal. Michael and Victoria had been given that moment, fragile and perfect, and they both knew they could no longer let fear keep them apart. As they left the ballroom, together, Grace walking hand in hand with her father, Victoria reached out to hold Michael's hand. It was a small gesture, but it carried with it the weight of years, regrets, and unspoken promises. The snow outside shimmered under the moonlight, reflecting the beginnings of something new, something precious, something neither of them would ever take for granted again. If this story touched your heart, if it made you believe that love can find its way even through the longest years and the deepest pain, please like, share, and comment below. Let your words be part of this story's journey. And before you leave, I'd love for you to write in the comments what melody in your life reminds you of love you thought was lost. Because sometimes, the music is all we need to remember that second chances exist, that hearts can mend, and that the simplest melody can bring us home.